Hey, how's it going, everybody? So, I decided to do a bit of a different video today. Instead of the usual, rating climb that we've been doing mostly on this channel, I went to play an over the board game this morning. It's like a tournament that's been going on for a few months here in Madrid, but I only got the chance to play this morning. Although this is, I think, the fourth round overall. And so it's an over the board classical game. So we get hour and a half each, but there's a 30-second increment for each move. However, the usual, I think it's 30 or 40 minutes that you get after move 40. I think it's 30, right? Yeah, that's not part of it. So it's just the 1 hour and a half plus the 30 seconds per move. And so I just played that game a few hours ago, and I wanted to share it with you and review it, talk about some of my ideas, some things I did well, maybe some things I can improve. Of course, there's always things that I can improve. But yeah, just overall, let's take a look at this game. All right, so I had the black pieces, and the way this tournament works is it's like a team effort, basically. It's 5 boards, and I was playing a board 1 from my chess club. I know, if I'm playing board 1, what are the rest like? I'm just kidding. But anyways, um, I was playing with the black pieces, and my opponent played e4, which I was happy to see because, I've been learning some Sicilian lines, and overall, I just wanted to gain some experience with it in an over-the-board tournament. So this was perfect. C5, and then straight away, this guy surprised me. He played f4. Now, this is, according to the engine, already not so good for white. I think there are many lines against the Sicilian that give white a better advantage, of course. But maybe he just wanted me to be out of my book. And he succeeded because, of course, I don't know how to play against this move. So I just played the most natural moves. I played knight to c6. He played knight f3. And then I was like, okay, let me play e6 and just be very solid here. I could have played g6, I think. It's an idea as well, possibly. But I thought this was good enough. There's no danger. And play for d5 later, get my bishop out, get my knight out, so forth. This bishop is going to be a bit more stranded over there behind the pawns, but later on, you can get it out through b7. Okay, so let's see. After this, yeah, you just played knight c3, pretty standard, no problem. And if I'm not mistaken, I played g6. Yeah, let me just yeah. So I played g6. Now let me explain to you my thought process behind this move, because it took me a couple of minutes. I was slightly worried about some funny stuff with f5, early f5, and I didn't know if I wanted to commit my bishop to e7 early on. I wasn't sure where to place my pieces in an ideal scenario. And g6 always gives me this idea of putting the bishop on g7 on the long diagonal over here, and to play it like a dragon. And even if this, maybe it's not objectively good, it could just make things complicated and messy, and that's not really my style of play, especially early on. I just wanted to get nice, smooth development and then, figure things out. So I played g6 for those reasons. And then here, he actually surprised me. He played b3 himself, which I wasn't really sure what his idea was. Immediately, like, I thought, okay, he just wants to exchange the dark square bishops. So, but I mean, I played g6, so bishop g7 is the natural follow-up. And he played here. And now I didn't want to put my knight on f6. I just thought it was better placed on e7 here. Just this kind of structure seemed like a good idea. And he played rook b1. Now this move I really don't understand, and the computer says I'm already a bit better here. I guess his idea was to protect the bishop when the knight moves, but then his follow-up move doesn't make sense once we take rook b1 into account. So I castle, which is the best move, and he played knight a4. But from what I understand, this he could have played, in the previous move without having to overprotect the b2 square. So if we traded, which we did, I took here, and then I thought just his knight is not well placed, and then I could go like a5 at some queen a5 at some point and attack this pawn, especially if he plays like d4 now. So that would be an idea. D4 maybe takes, maybe queen a5 check first, and then getting really into the queen side with my queen there. So I thought, yeah, I thought his knight was definitely misplaced there. And then at this point, I'm castled. So my thought process was, okay, he's not castled. His knight's misplaced. His rook's on b1, which is definitely, it's irrelevant there at this point. So I was like, okay, let's open up the center. So I played d5, which the computer doesn't, it's not crazy about that move. So if we just go back once, some of the ideas it's suggesting is f6. But yeah, never play f6, right? And then queen c7, I did consider briefly. But then I thought, he would probably just defend the pawn, or you can't push, but just probably defend. And yeah, maybe queen c7. Yeah, it's a decent idea. But okay, so I played d5. He played e5. Closed up the center. Let's say he didn't want to exchange. And now I thought, okay, so which of my pieces are good and bad? So this knight was good. This knight was decent, and this bishop was a bit, probably my worst piece if we take away the queen and the rooks, of course. So the way I thought about proceeding here was something along the lines of, getting my pawns on a6, b5, and bishop b7. That's what I wanted to do. So I started with a6 in this position, which also limits his bishop going to b5, because he could exchange, and then I would rather take with the knight, so that prevents me from going like knight f5 straight away, I guess. Well, then I can, I could move the knight somewhere like here or d4, but I just wanted, to play this prophylactic move and get ready to play b5. I believe here, let me just double check. Yeah, he played c4. So striking at my center. I didn't want to push. I don't know why. Pushing didn't seem like the right idea for me. And I didn't want to take just to activate his knight, because his knight would be on a decent square there, although it can get kicked away, But still, I was like, yeah, I'd rather take with the knight, take with the queen, or even the pawn I considered, because I can have the f5 square for my bishop in that case. So yeah, I wasn't really in a rush to do anything here, no trades. So I decided to go for knight f5, just improving my piece. And he played bishop to d3, which I knew, he's not castled, and this pawn hasn't moved, so there has to be something wrong with this, And the computer agrees it's not losing or anything, but 0.5 for the black pieces is a good advantage to have on move 12, But here I thought for a long time, I believe, because I was looking at some ideas like putting the knight here, or maybe this knight here. I also wanted to make something work with queen to h4, but of course the knight's covering. So I kept thinking of lines where if I put a knight here and he takes, I thought that maybe I had this check, and then this kind of idea, where if he takes, I take the rook. So this was something that definitely crossed my mind, and I calculated, but I couldn't really find a decisive blow here. So I had to play it a bit slower. I still believe after bishop d3. Let me just double check. Yeah, I still played the knight here just to see if he would take, because this is a good position, and if we trade, if he trades here, I'm just going to recapture it back. So that's exactly what ended up happening, and I ended up with this nice piece over here, and I'm pretty happy here, to be honest with you. And this is a really strange move that he did. So after the knight took here, he played king to f2. The computer is not crazy about that move. It gives like 0 0.5, 0 0.6 for the minus 0 0.5, 0 0.6. I don't know what his idea was, honestly. I don't know what his idea was with that move. It's a very strange move. I don't know why he didn't castle just straight away. Yeah, it was strange. So as soon as he played this, I was like, I mean, I have to open up the center. There's just no way. So I took here, knowing he would most definitely take with the knight, and then I played b5, kicking the knight away with the tempo. He rerouted, and then I did take some time to maybe consider taking, but then we would probably exchange queens and stuff like that. So I just thought to myself, let me just develop my last piece, put my last piece into the game, and this is a good move according to the engine. It's giving like minus 0.6 here. He traded. He was very happy to trade. I think he was looking for a draw most of the game. Also, at this point, I don't have the times with me, but my time was like maybe 40 something minutes I had left here, and he had like an hour and 20 minutes. You know, he barely spent any time, or 24 minutes or something like that. He was playing instantly almost. So he took, I took, and he played queen e2 with the idea of pushing here. And I didn't think this was like a super dangerous move, because after I took and he had this, check on e6, I always had this move with the king to g7. So I just improved the placement of my bishop. I play bishop e4, attacking the rook. So he doesn't have this idea now. He can't do that. He has to move the rook. He moved it here, which makes sense, with the intention of pushing. And now I think I made like my first, let's call it a slight mistake, with moving the bishop here. So my idea is just to prevent the push. But my bishop is a bit loose here, and it could definitely get chased away. And I don't think this was the most precise way of playing it. He can just play queen e3, which he did. And at this point, I realized that this is a pretty loose piece. I'm going to have to move it again, most likely. So my idea was, okay, let me push c4. And then if he takes, I'll retake. Or maybe I'll just retake here, and then that piece is pretty secure. He could go there with the knight, and then we'll probably have a big exchange. And I wouldn't be worse, at least. I'd still be in a pretty good shape here. So what ended up happening was, after I played pawn c4, he was like, okay, now it's my time to attack, and he pushed the e6 very quickly. He took with check, and I play king g7. And I wasn't worried here too much. My pieces are all connected. Everything protects each other. The only, let's say, loose piece that could potentially be loose is this pawn here on a6, because it's only protected by the rook, and if I have to move the rook somewhere, that would be hanging. So, yeah, he played knight g5, trying to create some problems. But again, I wasn't very worried here. And as soon as he played this, I noticed I have this check, of course, and the knight no longer guards on d4. So I was like, okay, I'm going for the check. Queen d4 check. And the reason why as well is because I thought that his king could eventually, like, if he played rook to e1 and then put his king somewhere there, he could hide it pretty well, and I wouldn't really be able to start an attack. So I'd rather give this check now. If he blocked, we just exchange. But yeah, I just wanted his king out in the open. So he played a king to g3, and this looked better for me. But definitely it's not winning. It's pretty equal, but still his king on g3 is more exposed to attack than if it was hidden away on h1, let's say, right? Okay, and in this position, I actually probably had my longest, or one of my longest thinks, because I wanted to take advantage of his king on g3, and kind of get my pieces, into better squares, start attacking, etc. And I kept trying to make this move work, rook e8, because I have to guard this check first of all, because then that would be a bit of a problem. Let's say, well, it just if I do something stupid, this is just mate, right? Check, and then doesn't matter where I get checkmated. So I would have to block, and then this is like a similar structure to the hook mate. So of course I had to guard e7, and I kept trying to make this work. I rook e8, but then I thought he would take here, and then I tried to make this work, but he just defended everything. He doesn't have any checks here, so the king is safe. But I mean, after something like this, yeah, the engine agrees. There's nothing here. I'm just down to a rook, and there's no attack. The king is safe. So it took me a long time to make my mind up, but I played the best move, which was rook to a7, protecting this, keeping an eye on a6, a vital pawn, as you will find out. And yeah, I was just putting giving him the move and being like, okay, so what are you gonna do now, right? You don't have any checks. We could exchange queens here, but yeah, there's no attack. He tried to do something by playing rook to e1, although I think the other rook was probably better, just getting the last piece into the game, keeping an eye on this. And I pushed h6, getting the knight out of there, so he just went back attacking my queen. And at this point, I didn't see a good place for my queen, so I just played it back to queen f6, which is the best move, supported by the engine. And he played here, rook e5. And yeah, I thought for a bit as well, trying to see where my advantages could be. And I found out that this, actually from here on until the next maybe 8 moves or so, I actually calculated, and that's exactly what happened. So I thought about, let me take here. Well, let me actually show it without the moves first. So I thought queen takes e6, and then rook would take, of course. And I would take here on b3. He's forced to recapture, so all of this is pretty forcing. And my idea was to go with the bishop back to e4. And at this point, my the next idea is to go bishop to d5 with a double attack on the pawn on b3 and the rook, and then getting some kind of a pass pawn over there on the queen side and pushing my pawns and making a queen. So that's exactly what happened. We took here, and I went back. Well, I took here first, sorry. I went back with the idea of this. He had this, he played knight here, so knight e5, with his own ideas of attacking my pawn on g6. So I had to stop that. This is only move. He took, I took, and then he played rook to c1, which I thought it was a good move, It threatens to, well, it takes control of the open file. It doesn't threaten to check. My bishop is there. But it's a good move. And here I found the best engine move, which I was very happy about, because I saw that, this is pretty locked here. I don't really, I thought about maybe pushing g5, but, to make this knight less stable. But after pawn takes here, king takes, this knight's not going anywhere anytime soon. So I was like, okay, that's not gonna work. It's not gonna cut it. And of course, I have this 2-on-1 on the queen side. So I was like, let me push my pawns. Let me go a5. And then what are you gonna do about this, right? I'm threatening to push here, push there, and just make a queen because I got the 2-on-1. He of course he took some time here, started to calculate. He ended up playing d3, which is also the best move. Getting rid of my outpost here with the bishop. So I went back to the d5, threatening b3, And here, I think he played a bit inaccurately because he went rook to c5 with a double attack. But I feel like mm, this is not the best because after this transformation, this pawn is very dangerous. Although he has a pass pawn of his own, but I feel like my pawn is better here. So what ended up happening is that he gave me this check here on b6, b6, rook b6. I blocked, and then he pushed this pawn, and yeah, the pawn race began. As you can see, the engine says it's minus 2.3 right now. His idea, of course, is to push here and take advantage of this pin and win a piece. But I just went a3, and my pawn is faster. He went here, I went a2, and he took with check. I went to g7, only move really, and he has this threat. So I don't know why he didn't take here, why he didn't take with check. He ended up going for this. He pushed, and then I promoted to a queen. But still, this is not like 100% winning. Like this is -4. And in this position, he pushed to d7. And here I was pretty low on time here. I just got maybe like a couple minutes on the clock, and I'm trying to find a win. And I started to calculate a lot of variations. Well, all the ones that I could possibly see. One of them was let me just show you some stuff like queen e1 check, and then of course if he goes here, then this is just mate. So he would have to go to a3. I thought about maybe taking here. If he took with the pawn, I saw that this was checkmate. He just go here. So he instead of this, he could also block with the knight. But then he he attacks me here as well, and I couldn't find a decisive blow in this situation. I kept thinking, but honestly, all I had to do, I believe, is take the knight with check, and after this, go to queen d1, and I'm threatening the pawn. I'm threatening to get in here with checkmate, basically. So how do you defend this? So maybe like the only thing you could do here, I believe, is rook e7, and this is like a line that I saw after the game, like when I was thinking about what could have happened. And yeah, if I just go here, you have to protect this pawn. It's very important. And it's queen against rook with 3 pawns each. And I believe with the time that I had, even though it was very little, I could probably scratch a win here. I could probably do it, yeah. But again, I was very long time in this situation. So instead of going queen to e1, which I think would have just won right there, I ended up going with a different check over here, which is still good, by the way. If you look at the computer, minus 5.5. And what happened here? Oh yeah, so here he went to h4. He went to h4, and at this point I was super low on time, and I couldn't figure it out. I didn't see that I had this check back to e1, which is very important. I think I played g6, sorry, g5 here, which is it's a blunder definitely because it's just equal now. And after he goes king to h5, I don't have any checks anymore. That's the real bad situation. So I thought about this, and at the end I had to sack the rook. He gave me this check, and I think I went king f8. Yeah, that's correct. He gave me this check, and I believe I went here. And at this point, my notation gets very messy because I had about like 1 minute, maybe less, a few seconds on the clock, and I just had to make moves super quickly. And I you're supposed to take notes, but Yeah, I couldn't do both. I was so nervous. If I'm not mistaken, he went knight to f6, and I played queen b2. If I took here, took the two pieces with the queen, he takes my pawn, and then it's a losing endgame for me. So I couldn't do that. I tried to, get some counterplay over here against this pawn. Uh, he took here, and I thought that if I take the pawn here, he has this strong pass pawn, and I'm not gonna be able to win that. So I think we did something like this, I believe. Let's see. Let me just double check. Yeah, knight d5 check, king d8. Okay, and mind you, this is seconds left on the clock. King d8. I went. He took the pawn actually, which is a mistake. But yeah, I couldn't figure it out in time. I couldn't see that, I had this check and then I could pick up this knight. Yeah, it was just, the situation, the time pressure, the stress, the anxiety, etc. And even after this, it's tricky. You got the two pawns. I got my queen, but it's tricky. It's definitely very tricky. I don't know. I don't know how I would win this with more time. I would have to really figure it out. But with low time, basically, it was a mess. And then after this point, I don't really have the notation. But basically, what ended up happening is that I ended up losing this pawn as well, and he had these two pass pawns with the two pieces. And I kept trying to give him checks to the king somewhere on like the diagonal, like here and stuff like that. But yeah, he was able to protect everything, keep his pieces together, and yeah, he didn't have any trouble here. And then at the end, I had like 5 seconds on the clock, and I blundered my queen like with a knight fork. Yeah, which was unfortunate, very unfortunate. I had this game really in the bag. Let's say, let's put it that way. After this queen, I think I had the game in the bag. If I had just played this check instead of this one, but that's life. That's chess. That's life. That's how it goes. There's nothing I can do about it. The only thing I can, I guess, learn from this is that I gotta keep my nerves under control when it's low time pressure, and just still try to calculate very precisely and make the best moves. Basically, maybe I was too hesitant on giving up material. So in this case, what I mean is like this. I just maybe if I had more time, I would consider this move and just see that I'm in a better position after queen to d1. But yeah, it's just unfortunate, really. It's just unfortunate because this was pretty easy. But that's how it is, guys. That's how it goes. I like over the board. I like over the board chess. You get a lot of time until you don't, but you have a lot of time to make good moves and feel pretty good about yourself after you play well. If you play well, I think before like I started to make mistakes there at the end with the time pressure. I popped this game into the lead chess engine, and it gave me like a 93% accuracy. So I'll take a 93% accuracy on like 48 plus moves. Yeah, not too bad. I hope you enjoyed that recap. It's a bit of a different video today. But yeah, that's just, I just wanted to share my experience with you guys, and hopefully you learn from my mistakes as well, not only from yours, and hopefully this was a cool video. All right, everybody. I think I'm going to take a day off tomorrow, though. I don't feel like I want to play chess. I just want to clear my head, and learn from this loss, and then come back a bit stronger, hopefully. So thanks, guys. I'll see you soon. Peace.